for tuning in today as well. I'm gonna throw my information in the chat. There's some names that are familiar. Thank you for coming in today. And then for those that I haven't met, like Rick said, my name is Grant.Luna. I'm a title representative for Fidelity National Title and primarily work in Palos Verdes, San Pedro, South Bay areas. So I'm out and about. And like Rick said, now a member of Affiliates in Action. So I'm blessed to be a part of a lot of these events with people like Dustin as well, who gets to be there as well. So today's topic, we're going over a couple of the apps that we have at the company I work for Fidelity National Title. So I figured, summer season, a lot of open houses that are going on, and it might be useful to maybe have a couple of tools at your disposal that might help you as you're maybe preparing for open houses the week of, wanting to interact with people, invite them to your open house. And then a great tool for when you're at that open house, either maybe finding a way to easily create materials for that open house, and then, find easy ways to engage with people at that open house, share some nice information, maybe find a way to get some nice, cell phone, email information as well from these people. So both of these apps are free, which is great. I'll walk you through them. And then of course, I'm always happy to help you for more support. So let me just share my screen really quick. I'll be showing my phone screen. This is how I recommend really using these apps, especially for open houses. Of course, if you have questions along the way, feel free to let me know. And then also, like I said in the chat, if you wanted either of these accounts, just reach out to me. I can walk you through these, especially like Total Farm. Sometimes the setup can be a little wonky, or Fidelity Agent One, but both free accounts, really easy to get set up. So Fidelity Total Farm will look something like this in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Fidelity Total Farm, you should see a red crosshair icon over a house. Fidelity Agent One should look something like this. So white icon with our Fidelity logo and then one. So both of those apps should be in the App Store. You'll create the accounts. You also have a website version for these apps too. So what we do today will, still be available on the website version. So you can use it on your phone, your computer later on, etc. So we'll run through these two apps, kind of go over the main features, show you how they work specifically more for open houses. There's a lot of other features that we won't go over for working with sellers, etc. But today's focus is mainly open houses. So we'll start off with Fidelity Total Farm. This is a great free app, like I said, which is on your phone, also available as a website, primarily good for creating groups of target homeowners. So in this case, I was thinking we could go through an example case of maybe you're preparing for your open house the week of. You wanted to create a group of homeowners that you can door knock to, invite to the open house, maybe have some nice insights that you can connect to them on, and maybe also find a way to keep some notes, track those notes, be able to save it for later, and maybe even keep track of who you spoke to, etc. This is a great app for all of that, especially door knocking. So what we'll do is maybe start from scratch. Let's assume you've created this account. You want to come in and it's the week of the open house. You wanted to create a farm and start to engage with some of those homeowners around that open house. So you'll be on a page that looks something like this the first time. And so, like I said, when you have this account for the first time, you won't have any farms. So you'll come in here to where it says create a farm. And so what I recommend doing, especially in the context of an open house, would be doing a walking farm, because this will allow you to create a farm in the exact way that you'd be walking it. So maybe you have an idea of maybe canvassing a couple of blocks. You wanted to create that route that you'd be walking and find a way to engage with them. So you can select walking farm at the top of the screen here. It should automatically pinpoint you where you are. So let's say you're like day of about to be door knocking, you're at that neighborhood and you wanted to create it. It'll find you on the map. You can also search by address up here. So let's say you're at your house the night before and wanted to plan that route. You can search for that property address and you can also move yourself on the map. So let's say I have an open house here. I can zoom in a little bit. And let's say I wanted to maybe door knock. Let's see, what would be like a good option? Maybe a couple of these blocks here. So maybe I'm just starting off. Maybe I'm a little timid about door knocking and I'm just going to cover maybe these two blocks right here. This block, basically both sides of the street. Maybe I have an open house here. And so what you can do is draw that route that you'd be walking. And so how you do that is selecting draw map right here at the bottom left of the screen. And so what you would do on your phone is simply draw with your finger by, placing your finger on the screen, drawing along the houses that you'd want to walk. So right now I'm just clicking and dragging my finger, relatively speaking, since I'm on my computer, across these houses that I want to walk to, and then across the street. And then I'm going to come to these houses, and let's say I get a little bit braver and I do one more block, and I'm finishing right here. So this is going to be my door knocking route with these houses right here. Let's say I messed up. Maybe I need to do it again. I can always clear this map, start from scratch. I'll click draw map again. Let's say I'm coming here, coming across the street, finishing at these houses right here. So once you're ready to go create this farm, you can click next at the bottom of the screen and I'll say open house farm. I'll name that. And like I said, this will save in your account. You can go to this Fidelity Total website even later on. It'll save this farm. And the really nice part about this app is it'll actually update these records every 2 weeks. So let's say one of these property owners sold their property, someone else moved in, it'll update it automatically for you. So you'll have this loaded, see the number of records. So this is showing that this map area that is 35 records. So let's say maybe that's too much for you. You can go back, create a smaller area. Maybe it's not enough. You can go back, create a bigger area. So click next. This great next part will show you the breakdown of this map area, specifically show you the breakdown of owner occupied versus absentee properties. So that will give you a sense of this makeup of this area. Is it heavily owner occupied, long-term owners? Maybe it's heavily non-owner occupied, and maybe so red icons. Green icons being properties that are owner occupied, red icons being properties that are non. This is the view of the farm once you've created it. These homes will be laid out in the order of that route that we created. So you don't have to worry about properties being, out of place there. Once you start walking on this farm, clicking a property, it will be in order. A couple of quick points I wanted to say about this menu. Once again, the green circles mean owner occupied. Red circles mean non-owner occupied. One other, I guess, two other quick little features about this page that are really helpful. Let's say you wanted to maybe see those properties laid out on the map again. You can click map view right here. This will lay out those properties again for you. Another really great feature about this page is the ability to filter this group down. So let's say maybe you only wanted to door knock to owner occupied properties, or maybe only door knock to long-term owned properties, or maybe non-owner occupied properties, etc. You have this complete farm toggle right here. So if I click this, maybe I scroll down and I want to only talk to owner occupied properties, or only properties, like I said, that I've owned for 13 plus years, for example, or absentee owned properties, etc. In this case, I'll choose the homeowner exemption filter here. These are people that haven't filed their homeowner's exemption, can benefit from a slight reduction in their assessed tax value. These are all owner-occupied properties that we can see with this green icon, etc. Once you're ready to start walking, you can just click on one of these addresses here. Like I said, you can always do map view, and you're going to get a nice sense of now which of these properties meet this criteria of homeowner's exemption. I'll click on one of these addresses here. On each of these pages, you'll get some information about the property address here. You can keep track of how many doors you've knocked. This is a great feature. You can keep notes. So let's say you'll be door knocking. You wanted to come back later, add these to your CRM, whatever it may be. So I can say, spoke to property owner. Maybe they want to sell in 6 months. And I can add a date and time to keep track of when I spoke to them. Just make sure you save your notes for later. Another great feature is the ability to set statuses of people that you spoke to. So let's say this is a farm, not just for open house, but maybe long term. You want to reach out to them consistently. So what you can do is set a status of either something like a lead, not interested, maybe people that aren't home. So maybe you wanted to double back a week later, find people that weren't home that time and interact with them again. And another nice feature is you have the ability to filter by those statuses. So let's say I wanted to find people that weren't home last time and just interact with them. I can filter for those here. And just finishing up on this total farm page. So like I said, you have nice property information such as when they bought the property, what they bought the property for. So you get a sense of long-term ownership, how much equity they might have. That might help direct some of your conversations about what they might do with that equity, where they might move, etc. A lot of nice assessed value, property tax information, etc. Even things like if you are helping them with their homeowner's exemption, their parcel number to help fill out those homeowner's exemption form, etc. And then while door knocking on this app, it's really helpful where you can just come here, swipe to the right to go to that next address. And like I said, that is the next address and how that walking area lays out for you. So you don't have to worry about the next address being, 2 blocks over. It's going to be that next address. And you can keep swiping through here and interact with those homeowners and take notes as you go. So a really helpful way to stay organized, see who you're going to be speaking to beforehand, have a sense of how long they've lived there, even have a sense of if they own the property, right? By looking at these green circles, or even on these property pages here, I can see owner occupied, Y or N. meaning yes or no, whether they're owner occupied. So super helpful app for door knocking, being able to create farms. Like I said, you'll have all these farms saved in your account. So later on, you can come back here, click on one of these farms again, and interact with them just as you did before. So super helpful way to engage with homeowners prior to the open house, invite them, keep track of any leads, add them to your database, etc. So really helpful app. Like I said, if you wanted a total farm account, let me know. I'll get one set up for you and you can get to working. So before I get to the next app at open houses, any quick questions about this one? I know there's a lot of features we went over, but some of the main features ideally are helpful for you moving forward. And thank you, Dustin. I appreciate that. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So our next app will be Fidelity Agent One. So like I said, you'll search for Fidelity Agent One in the App Store. It should look something like this. Fidelity Agent One, you'll open that app. It does require two-factor authentication now, so you'll sign in, it'll text you a message, you'll create your account. Just make sure you select us as the reps. You'll search LA County, you'll look for Grant.Luna, Grant.Luna, select us. That way, if you ever get kicked out of your app, we can help reset you. So this is a really great app for at the open house, maybe even slightly before in terms of creating some nice open house materials for buyers that are coming through, being able to answer questions at that open house for buyers that are coming through. So we'll cover two or three of these calculators, give you a sense of the mechanics of how this app works, how you can use it for creating materials or engaging with people, etc. So the main features of this app would be general calculators that just require some basic input. You can change them on the fly. It'll create nice estimates for you, but even better, it'll create full fleshed out templates for you based off those calculators. So we'll start with a simple buyer monthly payment estimate. I think this is a nice bread and butter flyer to have, at an open house or while engaging with people, being able to show them what that house will cost them, the closing costs, the title fees, escrow fees, etc. So this is the bottom left of the screen right here where it says buyer. You also have other calculators like a seller net sheet right here where it says seller, or other calculators here that will look at a couple of these that are more geared towards buyers and open houses down at the bottom of the screen. And there is a premium dashboard which comes with social media content, etc. We won't talk about that today, but happy to answer questions if people have those. So we'll get started with this buyer monthly payment estimate. Like I said, this would be great for, printing flyers to the open house or just waiting for people to come and being able to answer their specific cases. So this one's fairly straightforward. You come in here, you enter a house price. So let's say maybe I'm sitting at a townhome that is listed for $850,000. In the simplest sense, this is all you have to do to create a really nice buyer monthly payment estimate is enter a house price. But of course, you can customize all of these things. So let's say you're at an open house, someone comes in, they're having a conversation with you, and maybe instead of a conventional buyer, they're an FHA buyer or a VA buyer. The nice part is each of these will bring in, like, for example, the max FHA amount, but I'll just stick it at conventional for now. The interest rate is roughly tracked. What you can always do is lean on your amazing lenders like Dustin here, maybe, before the open house to get a sense of where you should plug that interest rate in at for these flyers. You can also change all of these things like buyer broker fees, taxes, city transfer taxes if you're in an area where that exists. Maybe this is a townhome community, so maybe I need to put in a monthly HOA of $450. And all you have to do now is hit compute. I do always recommend, though, adding a property address. This is a really cool feature where it can actually bring in that accurate property tax for this purchase price. So you can really give someone an accurate estimate showing their monthly payment with their principal and interest, taxes, etc. So I'll click add address right here and I'll click this 34445 Grenard Ave. You could simply type it in and click your address. First, it'll locate the property taxes for this property that's paying currently. So I'll just click done. And then now we're satisfied with this, we'll click compute, but since we added a property address, it's going to find the estimated annual property tax based off of that purchase price of $850,000. So all we have to do now is click done to add this to the estimate. Now we have a really great monthly payment estimate. I can do this on my phone. I can show someone, say, oh yeah, for your case, you're putting down, 20% conventional. Here's the principal and interest as a part of that monthly payment, taxes based off that purchase price, insurance, HOA, etc. Of course, always, specify these are estimates, right? These are an estimate. This might change in an actual scenario. Consult with your lender, but a good leverage point here. And then bring to close as well. So the down payment, prepaid costs, and fixed costs. So the beautiful thing about this app is, of course, you get some really nice quick information, but all of this can be made into a really great shareable template. So always, every time you create an estimate in this app, look for this share icon. It's the square with the arrow pointing upwards. It's usually always at the top right of the screen. So after you create an estimate, I'll click this and click send full report right here. Every single calculator in this app has this option. And what it'll do is it'll take that calculator we just used, that monthly payment estimate, the 20% down, etc., and put it on a template that looks something like this. It'll have your name automatically auto-filled based off your account information. It'll have that same information we just looked at, but now a little bit more itemized. So full-fledged monthly payment estimates here, closing costs, and I can even scroll to this page and see more closing costs. The great thing about this app, like I said, is not just for, being able to print flyers, but maybe on the spot, being able to show someone this and say, hey, there's your estimate. Let me text this to you really quick, or let me email this to you. So same thing, look for that share button, click it, and I can text this from the app. I can email this from the app, get some of their contact information, and they were walking away with something valuable that I've provided that has my information as well. Other awesome features about this, some of these have different designs. So let's say I wanted this in a different look. I can go to this templates option here, and I have different looks for this monthly payment estimate. An awesome feature about the buyer monthly payment estimates is the ability to make them into a different language. So let's say I have an open house, maybe I speak Spanish or Korean or Japanese, and one of those guests comes in and they speak that as well, and that's their strong language they prefer. I can come in here to where it says customize at the bottom right, and I can click language, and I can come in here and make this Korean, for example. And now I have a nice buyer monthly payment estimate in Korean. Maybe I can print a few of these in different languages if I know that open house is in a neighborhood where there's some people that speak a predominant language in that area as well, and I can have some of these ready for me. So nice little Korean buyer monthly payment estimate, other languages here, like I said, so English, Spanish, French, German, Chinese, etc. I think they have about 13 languages or so. So I'll make this English again. And like I said, you have that share button. So make advantage or take advantage of this, text this, email this at open houses, etc. So a really great resource for being able just to have some nice, really easy handouts for people at open houses. So other calculators for open houses that we'll cover will be in this calculator section here. And so I've moved most of the ones that I really recommend for open houses towards the top of this page. You can always move them around. They might not appear here for you. So for example, rent versus buy and monthly affordability and qualify, those might be actually lower on your app. But let's say you wanted to move them to the top, you can always move these around. So you can click edit and drag some of these and rearrange them, etc., for easier access. And so we'll cover a couple of these just to show you, the simple inputs, and then once again, get some repetition with the mechanics of creating a calculator, getting the results, and then sharing that with people. So I'll come in here and I'll click rent versus buy. Maybe I have someone at the open house that came in, maybe they're renting the townhome in the community and they're curious about what that looks like for them, comparison. Maybe they don't know much about the real estate process. You wanted to be able to educate them a bit. So you can come in here and maybe conversationally they tell you they're paying maybe $3,000 a month for that townhome in that community. I'll put in 750,000. Maybe this is a townhome that I'm selling. Once again, you can change these figures, and I can simply come in here and hit compute. It makes it really easy for me to give them a nice sense of, in this case, when does it break even? Of course, buying a property usually will be more expensive. You have the down payment, maybe a higher payment at first for the first few years, etc. But you get a sense of when that breaks even over time. So 7 years, 7 months roughly. But maybe I wanted to give them a sense of a 10-year span. What does that look like for them? So I can move this to 10. This shows that if they buy, they'll save $83,000 in that process. Right now, this isn't super helpful, right? It doesn't give a ton of information. But once again, always look for the share button. It's super helpful. It's going to give you a nice template with all of this information more detailed. So I'll come in here, I'll click share, and then I'll click send full report again. Now I'll get a nice rent versus buy comparison for a 10-year span for that specific person. So I get a sense of the cost of owning here, total $319,000 when you factor in some of the costs, like I said, bringing to close, that big down payment, total payments made over that time span, maybe some maintenance of the home, but then I have some of those benefits of appreciation, paying down some of the principal, mortgage interest deduction as well, versus just, a cost of renting that goes up every year. So What's nice is once again, I have this template that I can click and text and email this to someone. I can click templates down here and have different looks for this rent versus buy estimate. And maybe, I wanted to create a quick one for 15 years as well. Maybe I wanted a couple different comparisons. I can bring this to 15 again, click that share button, and it'll create these super quick, just to show you how easy you can be having conversations with people, create a really nice quick estimate for them, and then easily text or email it to them straight from the app. So you'll look, awesome in the process. You'll give them some really good information personalized to them that they'll want to hang on to. They'll want to reference, they'll want to study, etc., and maybe reach out to you for more information. Finishing up with one more calculator because I know we're running out of time and I don't want to take away all the time for questions. I really recommend this monthly affordability calculator at these open houses. Really great conversation starter, really great leverage to maybe, get someone, to speaking to your lender like Dustin, right? Being able to show someone maybe what they could afford, based off some basic information and then say, hey, take this and then, connect with my lender, they'll get you going. So we'll click this monthly affordability calculator, which is under this calculator section here. This one's really simple. All someone has to say is a payment that they're comfortable with. So maybe it's a couple, they come into the open house and they're comfortable paying maybe $4,000 a month in a desired payment. Here's that interest rate. This will, like I said, be roughly updated for you as rates change. We'll hit compute. And so now what we have is based off that desired payment of $4,000, that interest rate, and based off a down payment of 10%, the rough buying power that they have based off of that scenario. So maybe they're brand new to the home buying process. They don't know where to start, where they can look. Now you've provided some basic guidance to say, okay, based off your scenario, it looks like based off today's rate, you can afford around $534,000 with a 10% down payment. Maybe they're saying, okay, we were hoping to, maybe be able to afford something, a little bit more expensive. You can say, okay, maybe you can put 20% down. Let's see how that changes things. So we can move this scale to 20% down now. This shows that they have a higher buying power of 615,000. Maybe that opens them up to, a whole different neighborhood, a whole different type of property, etc. And so once again, you have this calculator. Always look for that share button every single time because it's going to take this information, click send full report, and now you'll have it on a really nice template for you. So this will be for that $4,000 a month. We get a nice home price range estimate for 0% down, 5% down, all the way to 20% down. And then same thing, different templates you can choose from if you wanted those. And once again, always the share button to text or email this to someone, or just print it, bring some copies to your open house, etc. So it's a really great app for being able to create some of these. I don't want to go into all the calculators just for the sake of time, but ones that I really recommend just playing around with, just putting the inputs in, hitting compute, seeing what it spits out on the back end and familiarizing yourself with the templates, I think is really helpful. Being able to have a conversation and enter these inputs as you're talking and sharing, I think is helpful. So ones that I really recommend would be this buyer monthly payment estimate. That was that first one. In calculators, rent versus buy, we looked at that one. Monthly affordability, that's the one we just looked at. Qualify is a great one. What it does is it allows someone to put in their gross or annual gross household income, some monthly recurring expenses. It'll spit them out to that monthly affordability calculator, and then it'll show them the house price they can afford. So it's pretty much this calculator with one extra step of adding income and monthly recurring expenses. So really great tools for you. Buy now versus buy later is a great one that shows someone a comparison versus buying a property now and refinancing in 2 years or 3 years, whatever it may be, versus sitting on the sidelines and then buying in 2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be. So these four calculators here, along with the buyer monthly payment estimate, I think will make you look like an absolute star, at your open houses, being able to effectively answer questions if people are asking about what's included in a monthly payment, for example. So being able to show them not only, what that monthly payment is, but being able to show them what percentage of that is going to taxes each month, what percentage is going to the HOA, etc. So also, I think, in my opinion, this app helped me a lot, in understanding the parts that go into buying a home, all the costs associated, etc. And I think, can really help sharpen you in your real estate business. So I'll leave some space for questions if anyone has some or wants me to show anything, and I'm happy to do that again. Okay, cool. So I think Dustin's helping a bit. Awesome. Yep, cool. Nice. Awesome. Thank you, Dustin. Any other questions? Any other features or stuff they wanted me to show again? I'll show this quickly because I know we have a few minutes. So they do have this premium section, 99 cents a month, $10 a year. I wanted to show this specifically because there is one section that I think are really helpful for open houses, and that's maybe these lenses here. So what this allows you to do is come in here, you can click these lenses. Let's say you wanted to maybe like film a story or, film the house or take a picture of the house and be able to say like open house on it and not have to like, edit it later on your computer. This is a great feature for you. So this is under the premium dashboard. And then if you scroll down to lenses, this gives you these lenses for these social media platforms, so like Facebook posts, Instagram stories, etc. But let's say I wanted to film a video of the open house and I wanted to, film, the living room, bedroom, etc., and have this overlaid on top of it. So how these would work is you can click on one of these lenses here. It'll open your phone screen. I can't do it because I'm sharing my phone screen that way, but basically what it would do for you is open up your camera. It would have that lens on it. You would simply just go through that open house and film. You would have a nice recorded video on your phone that would have that lens over the top of it. So I think that's a really helpful feature out of this premium dashboard, specifically for open houses, filming content, etc. So, and lastly, I wanted to show if you did want to maybe see some of these features, of course, this will be recorded, so you have full access. I think this is gonna lead me out of here, but let me go to Grant.Luna on YouTube. I do want to say if you find me on YouTube, so the channel is just Grant.Luna or at Grant.Luna. I have a ton of videos where I'll go over content like this. So if you come here to videos, you'll see a lot of the videos that I'll create. Most of them are centered around Fidelity Agent One, Fidelity Total Farm, and one more of our apps. So almost every video you see in here, it's kind of geared towards a specific real estate, lead generation thing that you might need or business building, whatever it may be that you can use in your business. So feel free to check that out. Always watch some of those videos. So I know that we're out of time, so I'll leave space for questions, but I really appreciate everyone coming in. Dustin, you got any good tips to add as well?
Thanks for putting me on the spot, Grant. Couple tips. Yeah, there's like an endless amount, but we're almost at time, and this is your presentation. I think I could just echo what I was sharing in the comments that Grant is a master at his craft. As a part owner of a mortgage company for 15 years, been in the business for 25 years. Grant's amazing at not only his level of knowledge and being able to help with the sharing of his knowledge, but then also just overall like being there for you when you need him. One of the things I always say with agents and clients is that I'm always as far away from you as you are away from your phone. And it's the same for that guy. He'll always be there for you. And I'm pointing this way because that's where I see him on my screen. I'm not sure where he is on yours, but great presentation, Grant.
Thanks, Dustin. I always get a little nervous when I got the lender on because then all the fees and stuff, I gotta say it right. So I appreciate it. And thanks
Nice.
for
Good.
being here. It's really cool seeing some familiar names and some new names too. But yeah, thank you everybody. That's it for today. I think Rick's still here. So Rick, you want to close it out or anything?
Yeah, all set. So just thank you, Grant, and thank you, Dustin, for just chiming in. And so if you do want, if you have any other questions for Grant, his phone number is in the chat, and then we will be sending out an email to everybody who attended today. It is recorded, so you'll get a copy of the recording, and it will be on our YouTube page. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Grant. Thanks,
Awesome.
Dustin.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
everyone. Have a good
Thanks
day.
again. Bye.